Hello, I'm Selena Rigby. I'm gonna read an excerpt from my brother's book, The Kingdom of Love. His name is Michael Rigby. And we're going to start. 5 hours later. I've always imagined the highways being piled up with empty cars in an end-of-the-world scenario. I can't believe how clear the streets are. I never seen anything like it. Captain Shaw let out a roar of laughter, and as he leaned over, looked out the window John was looking out of, and responded, "You always did believe that crap you saw on TV." "Ha ha ha. But no, not in this country. Not yet, at least. Don't you remember when you asked about Operation Core? I thought you couldn't speak about it until 50 years passed. Until 2070, right? I don't even have a problem waiting. The world's over, you idiot. It doesn't matter. I can tell you. Just shut up and listen. Trump couldn't be beat. He embarrassed the Democrats on every corner. As much as they got people to turn on him and hate him and make false accusations against him, they couldn't hide the fact that he was very good at just about everything he did in office. Everything they did to destroy him failed. Sex scandals, the race card, nothing stuck. Then they got Bloomberg, a man with more political experience and way more billions than Trump. But the people rejected the billionaire. They loved Trump. On the surface, it seemed like Bloomberg took the loss of the chin and went away silently, but nothing could be further from the truth. Bloomberg was out for blood, and he wanted Trump out the office. Bloomberg sat with a council of the most powerful Trump haters in the world and played chess. They devised a plan that had the perfect alibi, COVID-19. When the first case appearing on the other side of the world, who in their right mind will blame an American? John said, "Okay, I get it now. I don't really want to get into." Captain Shaw ignored John and continued saying, "Not only would it remove Trump from the White House and possibly even kill him, but the vaccine could be forced upon the people so the conspirators could pocket billions. Operation Core was perfect. And of course the military loved the idea of national lockdown practice. Bloomberg and his allies paid for the virus to be released in China. Then they paid the World Health Organization to look away long enough for the virus to build up the momentum needed to reach pandemic levels. When people were dying all over the world, they rolled out the virus and started charging the government for not just the vaccine, but even more medical equipment. After enough Americans died, the media outlets received their payments and launched their attacks. By calling Trump racist, they made him solely responsible for slavery. By calling Trump xenophobic, they made him solely responsible for the Holocaust. By calling Trump a sex offender, they made him solely responsible for every sexual assault ever committed. And when they blamed Trump for the coronavirus, they made him solely responsible for every death that was related to the virus. They succeeded through turning enough people against him to dictate the outcome of the election. People forgot that Trump was never called a racist in all his years on The Apprentice show, even though he fired dozens of black people. People forgot the so-called racist freed dozens of black people from the federal penitentiary, including black rappers like Kodak Black. Kim Kardashian even worked side by side with some female attorneys to successfully compel Trump to release an astounding amount of prisoners who were serving harsh sentences. People forgot that he was the first president to stand up to North Korea's extortion tactics, and unlike his predecessors, instead of sending an Emmy billions of taxpayer dollars, he met face-to-face with Kim Jong-un and he showed him how to profit off of his lucrative country. They forgot that Trump stopped sending protection money for the European countries that were supposedly in need of protection from Russia, the same country that were buying energy from when they could have just as easily purchased the same energy from the United States. Not only did Trump stop the madness, but he set face to face with the Russian president and straight up told him he was here to win. They forgot about Syria. They forgot that Obama curled to the Syrians when their president used sarin gas against his own people. Obama told the Syrians not to gas their people to death with toxic gas, sarin, and when they disobeyed his command, he gave them more warnings when they disobeyed him again and killed more people. He said he drew a red line and that there would be consequences if they crossed it. When they crossed the red line, in a pitiful show of passiveness, Obama ignored the government that defied him, and instead, he told the Syrian citizens they could come to America. Instead of helping them fight, Obama spent billions of taxpayer dollars to help the Syrians desert their land and flee to the United States. Obama spent taxpayer dollars to feed, clothe, and shelter the fleeing Syrians while the young black children in Chicago starved, killed each other, and went neglected by the man who claimed to have a place and heart for a city he virtually ignored when he actually had the power to make a change. He could have saved thousands of American lives if he would have put as much energy into saving Chicago as he did to save the Syrians. When Trump became president, as soon as the Syrians tested him by using sarin gas to kill their own citizens, Trump treated them like they were the second I in the acronym ISIS, dropped 59 bombs on their country, and prepared for war. The Syrians backed down. When Obama was in office, he sent the Syrians $800 billion cash. He literally put the money on airplanes and flew the cash directly into the country. Within weeks, ISIS suddenly had brand new uniforms, brand new guns, and brand new white pickup trucks with big guns welded on their tops. Barack Hussein Obama single-handedly empowered an Islamic extremist terrorist organization, proving his allegiance to radical Islamic organizations traced far beyond his middle name. When Obama was president, ISIS was rich and powerful. They were chopping people's heads off on camera as the whole world watched in fear. When Trump became president, ISIS soldiers had to start smoking crystal meth to find their hunger pains. Under Trump's watch, top ISIS officials were shot down dead in the streets, blown up, and scattered in every direction. Trump destroyed ISIS, and Uncle Sam's big hairy balls were once again dropped on the planet. For decades, North Korean manipulated U.S. presidents out of billions of dollars. North Korea would launch missiles, threaten to invade South Korea, where U.S. troops were stationed, and would threaten a tiny U.S. territory north of Australia called Guam. In response, the U.S. would send billions of support funds. When Trump became president, he stood up to the would-be extortionists with threats of his own. When Kim Jong-un became threats and demanded money, Trump prepared for nuclear war by surrounding North Korea with soldiers, guns, war jets, warships, and nuclear bombs. When the full weight of the United States military was clearly about to be dropped down Kim Jong-un's throat, instead of engaging in war he never had any intentions of engaging in, Kim met with Trump in Singapore. Trump went behind a closed door with Kim, opened a laptop computer, and showed Kim how beautiful and lucrative North Korea could have been if it had tourist-friendly borders, a Trump Tower, and McDonald's on the coast. The North Koreans held the remains of 200 American soldiers hostage for decades, as president after president failed to make the deal to get them back. Trump made the deal. Since 1950, 12 presidents were lied to and deceived into believing they were going to get the remains back, but they never succeeded. They made campaign promises to retrieve them, but they never did. The remains were captured under Harry S. Truman during the 1950 through 1953 Korean War. Truman never got them back. Dwight D. Eisenhower became president after Truman, but he only started a pattern of failures to retrieve the remains. John Fitzgerald Kennedy, aka JFK, got assassinated. He didn't get the remains. Lyndon B. Johnson, known for creating the Great Society program, failed to retrieve the remains. Richard Nixon, the first president to visit China, who was infamously known for saying, "I'm not a crook," during the Watergate scandal, where the Democrat headquarters were burglarized, leading to his resignation, failed to retrieve the remains. Gerald Ford, a confirmed member of Skull and Bones, who pardoned Nixon, failed to retrieve the remains. James Carter, aka Jimmy Carter, who pardoned people who broke the law by refusing to go to the Vietnam War, failed to retrieve the remains. Ronald Reagan, another member of the Skull and Bones, who publicly spoke on the New World Order, failed to retrieve the remains. George H.W. Bush, another member of Skull and Bones, who was director of the CIA, who successfully captured the drug kingpin Norija, failed to retrieve the remains. William Clinton, aka Bill Clinton, who put his penis inside an intern's mouth while he was in the Oval Office and then lied about it under oath, failed to retrieve the remains. George W. Bush, another member of Skull and Bones, who had the Twin Towers demolished to intimidate Americans into allowing the passage of legislations that would allow the government to spy on citizens, the Patriot Act, failed to retrieve the remains. Barack Hussein Obama was the last president to try and failed to retrieve the remains amongst his long list of failures. Do you have any good to say about Obama? Of course. He exposed NASA. NASA was charging $13 billion to build shuttles, while Elon Musk, CEO of SpaceX, was building better rockets for under $1 billion. Back when the government was the only force allowed to send the rockets into space, Obama changed that when he granted Elon Musk permission to launch. But, and then there's also a but, even with the great achievement, if Obama would have did half of what Trump did with North Korea, he would have received a Nobel Peace Prize. Trump successfully secured the remains of soldiers without killing anyone with one of Obama's infamous drone assassinations. But Trump couldn't receive a Nobel Peace Prize because he was solely responsible for slavery, the Holocaust, and millions of rapes. Trump lost re-election, and even that didn't stop the madness. The profits from the vaccine were so grand, those greedy bastards released a second wave and a third wave of COVID. They sold hundreds of millions of overpriced placebos to people who oftentimes still got sick. It was chaos, John. Pure chaos, but those days are over. Look at the window, John. You see that? Do you see that? What are you looking at is a face of order, custody, and control. We have plans for every scenario imaginable. The only vehicles you'll see in the streets, in the air, or on the water are operated by authority. This is how we maintain order and keep people safe. Every structure has become a prison cell. The occupants are prisoners. The country is the prison, and the armed forces are the guards. The president is the warden, and just the same as any prisoner who tries to escape is subject to death. We will terminate any civilian found outside of a structure. The Kingdom of Love, book 1 of 4, can be found on Amazon. And this is, again, my brother's book, Michael Rigby.